The interview preparation webinar will cover the following. We will review the steps of interview preparation, specifically the phases of interviewing, and how to prepare for the interview through research. We will also cover the basics of the interview. We will review the importance of first impressions. Specifically, we will provide you an overview of dress code expectations. We will review the different types of interview questions and will explain the SOAR model regarding how to answer interview questions. Finally, we will review the process for after the interview, proper follow-up methods, and the importance of self-evaluation of the interview experience in order to make an informed decision. The interview process can be confusing and overwhelming for many. So many factors go into the job interview. Some you cannot control, but you have the ability to control how you present yourself to companies and organizations during the interview process and beyond. If you prepare well for an interview, you will be able to present the best version of yourself. There are 3 distinct phases of interviewing. The first phase is the preparation planning phase. This phase is all about the prep work you will need to do prior to your interview. The second phase is the conducting phase, which is your interview. This phase is how you conduct yourself during the interview. The third phase is the evaluating phase. This phase includes the proper follow-up steps you will do after your interview, and also the process of you evaluating, assessing the position and the company to determine if the opportunity is a good fit for you. The preparation planning phase requires the interviewee to know the following through self-assessment and necessary research. You will need to know yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, and what transferable skills you bring to the position. You also need to know the industry field you are seeking to work within. Discover the latest news and trends in the industry and the field. You may be asked in the interview, or you may have the opportunity to incorporate the gained knowledge into an interview response. It's also important to get to know the employer and to review the job description for the position again before you interview. Before the interview, it's important to know yourself. What does that mean? It means you can talk about your skills, your values, interests, experiences, strengths, and of course, areas of improvement. You have the ability to talk about yourself with authority. You have the ability to convey a level of confidence that will attract the potential employer to you as a possible new team member. You will also need to know the employer. The basics you will need to research are the relative size of the organization, where does it fit within the field, organizational structure and leadership, population served, typical career paths, opportunities for professional development. The majority of this information can be located on the company's website. A great section to review on a company's website is their press page or in the news, about us, or investors. This is where you can locate the latest news trends of the company. This will allow you to be in the know about the latest happenings of the organization. It's also important to research and analyze the industry field before the interview. This permits you to tap into the latest trends and factors influencing the industry. You can review the following factors, i.e. steps, when you conduct your research. The steps are social, technological, economic, and political. Prior to the interview, you must review the official job description of the position again. Time may have passed from when you applied to when you interview for the opportunity. Therefore, you will need to refresh yourself as part of your preparation. Based upon the job description, review your resume and pull out examples from previous experiences that you can construct valuable situations that highlight your skills and accomplishments that can relate back to the position. To review preparation steps, you are to research the employer, review the job description again, and create a list of questions to ask at the interview. Also leave room to ask a follow-up question about something spoken about during your interview. This will showcase your listening skills and your interest in the position and company. We will review these types of questions later in the presentation. Now you are ready for your interview day. Please remember the following tips for the day of your interview. Arrive 5 to 10 minutes early. Call if running late or if an emergency. Turn off your smartphone. Try to appear relaxed and show enthusiasm. Be prepared for small talk before the interview. You have completed all the preparation work for your interview, and now the conducting phase begins, the interview. The interview is the opportunity for you to highlight and communicate the following: your skills, knowledge, and experience, your experience through specific examples, your knowledge of the company and organization. It's also an opportunity for you to gain more understanding of the position and to learn more about the culture of the company and organization. This information helps you make a more informed decision about the opportunity. Your interview will generally encompass 3 stages. The first stage is establishing rapport. This stage includes that important first impression and highlights your ability to engage in small talk. First impressions are essentially if you were on time, your handshake greeting, and your attire. The second stage of the interview is the gathering information process, simply the answering question portion of the interview. This portion of the interview can be done on one-on-one, panel, or rotating interview scenario. Many in-person interviews are preceded first by a phone or screening interview that generally lasts 20 to 30 minutes. The third or final stage of the interview is the closing of the interview. This period is when you are provided the opportunity to ask any questions about the opportunity, company, etc. Generally, the organization will close out the interview by thanking you for your time and providing an estimated timeline for the decision-making process. As previously mentioned, first impressions mean everything. The majority of interviews will require formal business attire. The following tips are based on universally accepted guidelines. However, the industry or company may be more flexible with these guidelines. It is your responsibility to do the necessary preliminary research about what the company's culture may accept in terms of interview attire. To review the general dress code guidelines, a suit should be worn in most cases. Iron clothing should be meticulous. Appropriate shoes, dress shoes, no sneakers. Assess your appearance. Light fragrance is best, and also light accessories. Don't confuse trendy for professional. Let's talk about tattoos or piercings. If you are able to remove facial piercings, please do so for your interview. If a tattoo can be covered with clothing, that is your solution. Once again, depending on the industry, culture, this may not be an issue. Let's discuss accessories. It is recommended that you carry a portfolio, slim bag, or briefcase. If carrying a more traditional handbag purse, it is recommended that it complement your attire. It is also recommended that jewelry or makeup are simple. If carrying a wallet, it is recommended to carry a money clip because it will eliminate the potential look of a bulging wallet. Also remember to remove any loose change, keys, etc. from pockets. An accessory we all carry is a cell phone or smartphone. Please remember to turn it off prior to your interview. Turning off does not mean keeping your phone on vibrate. One can still hear the vibrate. Completely turn off your phone for that important hour. Be present for your interview. Now let's delve a little deeper about different looks of dress and attire. Dress the part. Your interview attire should only enhance how you present yourself. It should be an extension of your knowledge and skills, not distract from your qualifications. This slide and the next are just a few examples of traditional interview attire. Of course, there are always exceptions. Your industry may have more flexibility with interview dress. You can do research to determine what is appropriate expected. Interview attire is generally a traditional business suit as mentioned before. Universally accepted suit colors are black, gray, and navy. Once again, exceptions can occur depending on the culture of the industry and company. There is much confusion about the difference between business casual and formal business attire. Business casual is generally not accepted for a formal interview. Business casual is generally day-to-day wear while on the job. Now let's move on and talk about interview questions. Interview questions will generally be a combination of traditional, i.e., general questions, and behavioral questions. Traditional general questions are typically easy to answer. Examples of general questions are: what would your supervisor say about you? What is your favorite, least favorite class? What are your strengths? Behavioral interviewing or questions is most used by employers in Fortune 500 companies and by large school districts. The interviewer will consistently ask for specific examples. The best way to handle these types of questions is to provide specific examples of past experiences, even if you are not asked to provide them. The SOAR model provides an easy framework to help you organize your responses and articulate your skills. Let's go through the SOAR model. The S stands for situation. For your response, think of a situation in which you were involved having a positive outcome or having a negative outcome from which you learned valuable lessons. Your O, or obstacle, describes any obstacles you encountered in that said situation. A is for action. You want to specify what specific actions you took in this situation to overcome the obstacles and achieve your results. And R are your results. Highlight the positive outcomes and or what you learned from that experience. Now let's review some sample behavioral questions. Here are just a few examples of the type of behavioral questions you may be asked. Describe a situation in which a customer was unhappy with you and how you handled the conflict. Tell me about a time when you had to manage multiple priorities at once. Give an example of a time you went above and beyond to help someone. What happened? Describe an obstacle you have faced up to this point in your life. What steps have you taken to overcome it? Tell me about a time when you failed at something. What did you learn or take away from that experience? You may also review our interviewing guide within our Career Resources page on our Career Center website. To review more sample interview questions, you may access our interviewing guide, which is located within our Career Resources page of the Career Center website. Now let's review some tough interview questions. This is a list of some tough interview questions for your reference. Generally, for most job interviews, you will know in advance the salary or pay rate. However, there might be a rare exception that you won't, and the first question listed might be asked. What is your major weakness or weaknesses is a popular question because it will allow you to demonstrate self-reflection and your ability to be proactive. In other words, share your weakness, but add to your answer how you have attempted to improve that area in your life. Don't wait for the interviewer to ask that follow-up question. Each of these questions wants you to have the opportunity to tell a narrative story that features self-reflection and self-confidence. Now let's review questions you can ask in your interview. As mentioned, you should always have 2 to 3 questions prepared to ask at the end of the interview. Some sample questions you may ask are: how would you describe the culture and work environment of this company? How will my performance be evaluated? What is the length and structure of the training program? What are the next steps in the hiring process? Always leave room to incorporate a follow-up question based upon an item mentioned during the interview. This will allow you to demonstrate your listening skills and display your interest in the position. Now let's go over some knockout factors that you want to avoid. This list covers some basic knockout factors that will potentially eliminate you as a viable candidate. They are: not prepared for the interview, late or lack of follow-up skills. For example, if you are asked to submit documents or work samples and forget, this reflects how you would handle work requests. Lack of clear goals. Inability to express thoughts clearly, not an effective communicator. Overall presence was not positive. May not want to relocate or work certain hours. It's very important to know what your non-negotiables are before accepting an interview. That's why it's important to review the job description again to ensure you are willing and capable to fulfill the requirements of the job. You have completed the in-person interview and now you are entering the evaluating phase of the process. This stage is when you evaluate, review, and assess the information you received about the position, company, and what you learned about the organization's culture, etc. This information will validate your continued interest in the opportunity or if this opportunity would not be the correct fit for you professionally and or personally. So ask yourself, am I a good fit for this company? And if the organization was to offer me the job, would I accept? The interview process is not one-sided. The other 50% of the process is for you to gain sufficient information to make the most informed decision you can about a professional opportunity. Part of the evaluating phase is the formal thank you and knowing the guidelines about following up with a company after the interview. Always write and send a thank you email within 48 hours. The thank you email is a formal business email and should be constructed accordingly. If you met with more than one person, each person should receive an individual thank you, and each note should be tailored to the conversation you had with that person. In the time frame between the email and the final decision, you may, if you choose, write a short handwritten note and mail it to the individuals. This is an additional touch point that might distinguish you from other candidates. Even if you don't receive the opportunity, you can still send a thank you note thanking them again for their consideration. It allows you to end the process on a positive note with the organization. Many individuals have questions about how long one should wait before following up with the company. Generally, 2 weeks is the professional and standard time frame. However, if the company provides a different time frame to you, then adhere to their time frame. For example, if it's 3 weeks, then wait 3 weeks. If they indicate they will get back to you within a week and it's been a week plus a day, you have every right to follow up. Generally, email is the best method to use when following up. You won't be putting someone on the spot to respond to you with this method of communication. From the research phase to the interview to the after interview phase, the interview process is all about preparation, practice, and developing effective and strong interview questions. For additional resources, consultation, and mock interview opportunities, please visit the Career Center. You may call us at 419-372-2356 to schedule appointments. You may also visit our website to gain access to various resource materials. And you can also follow us on our social media sites. We are here to assist you as you prepare to interview for internships, co-ops, and job opportunities. Thank you for taking the time to view this webinar.